عين الرجيم بفضل الله بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الحمد لله والحمد حقه كما يستحقه حمدا كثيرا الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله اللهم لعن أول ظالم ظلم حق محمد وآل محمد وآخر تابع له على ذلك اللهم لعن العصابة التي جاهدت الحسين وشايعت وبايعت وتابعت على قتله اللهم لعنهم جميعا ثم الصلاة والسلام على خير خلق الله أجمعين محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين واللعنة الدائمة على أعدائهم أجمعين إلى قيام يوم الدين. Just before I begin tonight's discussion, I want to clarify something that I mentioned last night that someone brought to my attention. You know, this was inadvertent, but I may have made it sound like if you read the Quran that you're not going to get any reward unless you understand. That's not what I actually meant. You can read it, even if you don't understand it, you still will get benefit and you will still get the reward. But I was talking about the importance of understanding as you read, and that was the contrast I was giving, rather than telling people not to read the Quran. So I had a few people mention this to me, and it overcame my ego, and I had to announce this. So I fell on my own sword. So anyway, Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. They say that a human being is a creature of habit, and we connect our positive feelings with familiarity. So when we do something over and over and over again, we become familiar with this thing, and that's how we form habits. This is how we form rituals and routines. But the problem with doing this, it makes us stagnant. It stifles our growth. There's no progress at all or development. And then we get so used to these habits and to these routines, and we lead a life of hopelessness and develop basically low self-worth. And this is the problem with habits and how they develop. Pretty much the way a habit works, and I got this from a book called Atomic Habits for James Clear. It was a New York bestseller. In it, he mentions how a habit works. He puts it into 4 parts. He says there's the cue, and then there's the craving, and then there's response, and then there's reward. For example, the cue is how it begins. I wake up in the morning. You know how some people, they wake up in the morning and then they want to feel alert. You know, that's the second part. That's a craving. I want to feel alert. The response to this craving, I want to drink some coffee. You know, the coffee drinkers, they need to go to the coffee shop. They need to make their coffee, whatever. They need to have that morning coffee. So they have that craving to be alert, and so they drink the cup of coffee. And basically, he says the 4th part, the reward, is automatically the set process that's in their head is what? Whenever I'm awake, all right? When I wake up, I need to have coffee. See, they want to be alert, so they drink. So for them, waking up means what? Drinking coffee. This becomes routine. They wake up and they have their coffee. You know, even if you think about it, that early morning, when you see the smokers, they wake up in the morning and they combine a coffee with a cigarette. And that's how they start their morning, and you think, oh my God, this is just so ghastly. But for them, it's bliss. And this for them is waking up. I wake up and I have this coffee and I have this cigarette. This for them is, it's something that they see, this is a euphoric feeling. And they associate it with waking up. Another thing that you may have is, for example, say you're studying and you get writer's block. And you have a habit that when you get writer's block, or or I lose focus while I'm studying or researching. And when you lose focus, I grab my phone and I start going through my social media or play a game. Automatically, you develop a habit within your head that whenever I get writer's block or I stall, I play a game. So that becomes the effect that's in your head, becomes routine. So whenever there is a pause, and they mention this with the phone, that people get used to when they hear a vibrate or on their phone, or their phone buzzes, and they just get that feeling, I've got to pick it up. So when their phone rings, they have to check what's on it. And it becomes routine and they can't get rid of it. So anyway, people develop all these kind of habits. People, for example, that are habitually late. You meet these people, they're habitually late. They never turn up on time. They never turn up on time. They have to be late all the time. Like, you get used to them. You say, oh no, it's so-and-so. Doesn't know what a clock is. The guys in Neverland. Remember Neverland with Captain Hook, where the clock just didn't work? That's it. The guy doesn't believe in watches, doesn't believe in clocks. He turns up when he wants, whenever he wants. All those people that are habitually on social media. Those people where they're having a French stick, they have to put it on Facebook. Everything has to be mentioned in every moment of their life. But the thing is, I need to have a desire to change my habits. Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ali ibn Abi Talib, salawatullahi wa salamu alayh. When we develop a habit, I need to know how to stop these habits. Says, أفضل العبادة غلبة العادة. He says the best worship is overcoming a habit. To overcome something that you're used to, a routine. In order to do this, I need to identify that I have a habit. I need to identify that I have a problem. Sometimes when parents tell their child, don't bite your nails. Sometimes children say, I wasn't biting my nails. They try and avoid this. You need to identify, yes, I have a problem. I bite my nails. I need to see this problem for me to be able to prevent it. Another thing I require is assistance. I need people to tell me. Sometimes not only that, I need the people to walk with me. If you ever notice, obviously there wouldn't be anyone present here that has this problem. But if you ever seen Alcoholics Anonymous, how they have that when they want to leave alcohol, they go through this, I think it's 12-step or 10-step program, and then some of them, they told them you have to turn up for 90 consecutive days, 90 meetings in 90 days. So the first 3 months, it's imperative that you turn up. And you think you need someone to hold your hand, they'll give you a sponsor. And this sponsor's like, every time, someone goes into their stash, they pick up their whiskey bottle, they look at it, and then they pick up the phone. They go, Bob, it's happening again. The craving is coming back. And Bob says, come on. You've lasted 32 days, you can hold on for one more day. They have this sponsor, someone there to assist them, someone there to actually support them. Another thing is, I need to remove the causes that bring about this habit that I have. And it's very difficult for one to change one's habits. It's a difficult thing. It's not something that is easy. In fact, Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ali ibn Abi Talib, salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi, refers to a habit as an authority. Amir al-Mu'mineen says, لِلْعَادَةِ عَلَى كُلِّ إِنسَانٍ سُلْطَانٍ. It has authority. A habit has authority over you. It knows it has a place with you. In fact, worse still, it's an enemy with authority. In another narration, Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam says, Al-'adatu aduwan mutamallik. That the 'ada, the habit, is an enemy that governs you. So to change is something, first you need to want to make the change. And the fact that he says it's a government, it governs your body. Imagine to change a habit that you have, it's like toppling a government. How often do you see a government get toppled? How often do you see a coup d'etat? Taban, if you were around some eras, like if you're talking about the mid-1900s, it was often. And especially in Iraq, you'd have one leader, he'd fall, another one get up, another one would fall, another would get... But then, as time changes, there'd be long times before a government falls, because it's difficult to make a government topple. It's not easy. So a habit is this government within that you need to bring down. And, you know, almost everybody knows the how, but it's whether they want to or not. So you can ask any person that has a habit, they know how to kick the habit, but it's whether they want to kick the habit, number one. Number two, it's how much will that they have, how strong is their willpower in doing so. In fact, it's very difficult to the point to kick a habit, to the point that Imam Abu Muhammad al-Imam Al-Hasan ibn Ali al-Askari salawatullahi wa salamu alayh says, Raddul mu'tadi an aadate kal mu'jiz. That for someone to have a habit, to kick it, he says, is miraculous. To get rid of something you're used to. Someone's mudman, someone's used to something. It's miraculous for them to get rid of this thing. You need this power to overcome it. You need this willpower. And this month is a month, Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. This is a month where you gain willpower. This is a month where your willpower is strengthened. Why? Anyone that is into fitness or weight training will know one of the things in weight training, that when you're actually training, if you are training in a regular method, for example, you know, every day you start doing a regular set of training. I'll do 10 reps bench press and then 10 reps of an incline decline. Every day there is a set way that you train. There gets to a point where you actually plateau and there's no improvement. So what do they have to tell you? They say, oh, you do this shock treatment to your muscle. You do something that's different. And something that the muscle's not used, whether they do drop sets or whatever they do, supersets or something that the muscle's not ready for. And when they do this change causes more growth. Shahr Ramadan is a shock to the system. It's a shock to every habit you have. It's a shock to every routine. Things change. And it's a necessary shock. And in fact, if you look at one of the most effective things in Shahr Ramadan that affects people are people that smoke. It's unbelievable. As a person that smokes, I know people that smoke cigarettes, they will even go to the extent where they'll have a cigarette on an aeroplane because they cannot handle it. They'll have a cigarette in the lift and they don't care how many people. I've seen this guy, he had a cigar. Can you believe this guy had a Habana? He's in a lift and he's smoking it. He couldn't care less what anyone else thinks. You know, he's far above the rest of the world. But in Shahr Ramadan, his head and everyone's head gets broken with fasting. They can't smoke. Even though every single part of their anatomy is screaming for this hit. But they can't. They're able to stop themselves for this long. And even if you're looking at where we're fasting right now in Sydney, which is nothing, we're fasting for 12 hours. So technically it's even more because people are usually asleep at 10:30, 11 o'clock. Not everyone wakes up for suhoor. And by the time they wake up for Salat al-Fajr, from then until 5:30 or whenever they break their fast, they really fasted for about 17 hours and they haven't smoked. They've been able to kick the habit for this long. So it gives you that shock. It gives you the platform in order for you to get rid of these habits, in order for you to change these habits, in order for you to be able to worship better. And the commander of the faithful, Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam says, غَيِّرُوا الْعَادَاتِ تَسْهَلْ عَلَيْكُمُ الطَّاعَاتِ. So if you change these habits, it will make worship easier for you. Because nothing controls you anymore. You can't achieve greatness without change in your habits. In another narration where the commander of the faithful says, بِغَلَبَةِ الْعَادَاتِ الْوُصُولُ وَلَا أَشْرَفِ الْمَقَامَاتِ. That when you overcome these habits, you can reach and you can attain higher levels. Because you are not set under what? The laws of a routine. You're above that. You've overcome that. Nothing holds you down. You're not in any routine that you're used to. You know, for example, someone watches a set television program. When that television program comes on, it could be at the time of Salah, they don't care. They're going to watch it. Or there's something they want to watch. Imagine now these days they might have IQ or whatever, they pause it and they can pray and then jump back and press play. But let's say that they can't. If they have a habit and a routine, they won't be able to break this. In fact, when you get into this habit, there was one person in the House of Lords in the United Kingdom, Lord Falconer, who wanted to lose weight. So he got onto a diet, or where he had one meal a day, and he was eating apples and he was drinking Diet Coke. And he used to drink, he said, 15 cans of Diet Coke a day. One thing he said is he would only drink cans and not bottles. So one of the things he was used to, you know, when you open a can, that psst, he used to enjoy that. That sound, he said, was something he would look forward to. So if someone offered him a bottle, he wasn't interested. He needed to hear when you open a can, you know, you needed to hear that sound. And that was the first thing. The second thing, he said, he got so used to drinking Diet Coke that he even used to drink it after brushing his teeth. Have you ever drank anything after you brush your teeth? Have any of you drank orange juice after you brush your teeth? It's abhorrent. It's so disgusting. You drink Coke after you brush your teeth. It's disgusting. He said, but he developed a familiarity with this, that when he would actually brush his teeth, he would yearn that when I'm brushing my teeth, I'm having that Diet Coke after I brush my teeth. He lost all the weight he wanted to, but he said he couldn't kick the habit of the Diet Coke. It became an addiction for him to begin with. Firstly, before I want to kick habits, I said I need to replace them with something else. I need to have some other good habits to have. Good habits to be on. For example, to have a habit of always being on wudu. Simple things. I go to the bathroom, I do wudu. I remain on wudu at all times. If I remain on wudu at all times, if you die on wudu, you die as a martyr. You die as a shaheed if you die on wudu. It's a habit that I should always maintain wudu regardless. Another habit, Samah the Sayyid's been mentioning in his lecture about dhikrullah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. To say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim at the beginning of everything. Not only when you eat. In fact, but when you eat, before I get to this, not only when you eat, anything you undertake, anything you can think of that you do, begin with Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. When I eat, it's recommended for you, like in prayers, it's obligatory on you to say Bismillah. Al-Jahr Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim is obligatory. That you have to say it in a loud voice. When you eat, you should say it. It's recommended to say it in a loud voice so those around you would know that you are someone, remind you that for them to say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim as well. See, when we were kids, we were afraid to say it. We used to whisper it. Number one, you know, sometimes people go, all right, you're a mu'min. So if you raise your voice, all right, you're a mu'min. So you go, all right, I bring down my voice, so I whisper it. Another reason we used to have, which is, I don't know if you guys had this, is when we were playing a game. Say, for example, you're playing a game, it was someone else's turn, they're playing marbles, they're about to flick the marble, and you hear them say, Bismillah. So you can't, you're cheating. You know, you're using God's assistance to win. But the thing is, I have to use this. I have to begin with Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, even with this. The habit of istighfar. If you're in the habit of istighfar, you always have that subha in your hand, you're saying istighfar all the time. You won't get into gatherings where you're doing ghibah, because you're saying istighfar all the time. You're repenting for everything. In fact, if you are in the habit of istighfar, the blessings that come upon you are beyond your understanding. In the narration on Amir al-Mu'mineen, Salamullah alayh, he says, عود نفسك الاستكثار بالاستغفار فإنه يمحو عنك الحوبة ويعظم لك المثوبة. that make it a habit for you to always ask Allah, say astaghfirullah, repentance. Why? Firstly, he says, Yamhu anka al-hawba. Hawba is a great sin. These sins that you commit, especially like uquq, if someone has been insolent to their parents, someone does istighfar, removes these kind of sins. And in fact, it augments your good deeds. Your good deeds, you get much more reward. It makes it multifold just from istighfar. In fact, when people want wealth, you look at the narrations, you want wealth, it says do istighfar. You want children, it says do istighfar. Istighfar has all these blessings and it'll keep you away from other things like that. Another thing that you should do is the recitation of adhan and iqamah before you pray. In your own house, especially in your house, to raise your voice with adhan in your own house. One man came up to Al-Imam Ali ibn Musa Rada salawatullahi wa salamu alayh and said to him that I have illness and I want children and I'm not getting children. The Imam said, raise your voice in adhan in your own home. He says, because this removes the maladies, this removes the illnesses in your house and it increases what? Your posterity. You have children. And the man says, and I bear witness that it removed my illness and it increased my children. Sallallahu ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. The habit of reading Tasbih al-Zahra, Tasbih Fatima alayhi salam after your prayers. The Imam says in the narration that if the choice was given to do the tasbih or pray nawafil, he would do the tasbih. Then pray mustahab. This is the value of the tasbih that I should get in the habit of doing when I finish praying. The habit of praying on time. A lot of people, a lot of people that even attend centers, the people that come, they delay their prayers. They absolutely put their prayers aside, and everything is of little value when it's compared to praying on time. It's so little importance, and you should put it aside when it comes to your prayers on time. But how do I change these habits? How do I change from a bad habit to a good habit? We could look at the speed camera effect. When I'm driving, you know how people are driving and then there's a speed camera. You see all the cars, they're moving, all of a sudden all the brake lights go on. Everyone slows down for a second and then they accelerate again. So the fact that, someone's watching and I might get a fine has an effect. And this also affects, like, if someone has a problem with, if someone has a bit of a sailor tongue, every second word is an expletive. They ask you, how do I stop swearing? Say, swear jar. I swear by the swear jar. One person told me I started using a swear jar. He said I was paying $1. This is, I'm telling you, would have been about 15 years ago. He told me I used to pay, and this guy was an Aussie, non-Muslim. He said the first day I paid $37. That's 37 times he used a 4-letter word. 37. He said the second day I paid $1. From 37 down to 1, he said the third day I was on 0. Because it started to hurt my pocket. Had that effect. It has an effect. Sometimes someone says to me, how do I start praying morning prayers? How do I develop as a habit? I said, easy. I said, every day you miss morning prayer, make an oath between you and God. For every morning you miss morning prayer, you fast that day. How many days do you think you're going to fast? Every day that you miss Salat al-Fajr, you fast that day. Make an oath between you and Allah. See if you'll ever miss morning prayer. You'll never miss it. You say, could you imagine? I'm not fasting. Could you imagine this is in the middle of summer? In the middle of summer, nice, sweltering heat. And you're going to yourself, there's no way I'm missing this. I'll sleep outside with the mozzies and let them bite me all night. I'm waking up for this morning prayer. This is how you start reacting in this manner. So anyway, one of the methods that this James Clear uses, which I summarized down from Atomic Habits, it's a very nice method. He said in order to lose a bad habit, first I must replace it with a good habit. How do I bring in a good habit? He says, firstly, make something obvious. For example, if you notice some people in their house, they make a room for salah. They have a musalla. You go into some people's houses, they have a musalla. It's awesome because you go in there, there's a prayer niche. You know, some houses have books and that all around you. It feels holy. You know, you don't have a television in your way. You don't have all these things to look at. It feels like a room of prayer. So make it obvious. Make it be there in your face in this manner. For example, some houses you go to, you'll see signs, they'll put up signs like, God bless this mess. Instead of this, put a sign that says, An-nadhafa min al-iman. Cleanliness is from, or is a part of faith, or they say cleanliness is from godliness. Have something that reminds you to be clean rather than say, oh, God bless this mess. Have something that's obvious that keeps you thinking about such a thing. Now, one thing that we did work on, and I'll show you that had a difference with a habit. One year, before I traveled overseas, one year we decided to make in the center regular jama'ah for morning prayers and regular jama'ah for maghrib prayers. And you think about it, the maghrib prayer was in maghrib time. You think everyone would turn up. Maghrib prayer, no one was turning up. But for the morning prayer, we would get a lot of people. Morning, in the winter I'm talking about. It was in the winter, so you're bringing people in the cold morning. What made them turn up in the morning? Firstly, he says you need to make it easy. In other words, what they're doing in a habit, you want to make a habit, you need to make this habit easy, not something difficult. So for example, you want people to turn up. We wanted people to turn up for the morning prayer. We told them we want to make an association with our Imam, Sahib al-Amr, Ajallah Farjahu al-Sharif, that I want to be doing a remembrance of him every morning, where we would turn up every morning and we would read Dua al-Ahad and Ziyarat al-Yasin. Together, if you combine both these du'as, they're not even 10 minutes. In fact, somebody turned up and said, I want to read Dua Sabah. I said, no. You're not smacking out Mafatih Jinan, people will stop coming. Nice and sweet. It's got to be easy. Don't make it difficult. Don't sit there and say, you know, sometimes I know there are a lot of good actions, good, that people can do, but make it easy to begin with. You know, if someone might be scrupulous, someone gets up to pray Salat al-Layl in the middle of the night, he prays 2 rak'at while he's lying there and that's his Salat al-Layl. Someone else gets up and prays Salat Ja'far al-Tayyar. You know, props to him, but not everyone can do that. Not everyone's capable of doing that. Imagine you want to bring someone to pray and you say, all right, you're praying Salat Ja'far al-Tayyar. Some people, you mention it to them, they go, that's easy. That's easy for you. Some people will find this very difficult. Finally, you need to make the habit satisfying. It's got to give satisfaction for you to adopt it. So what we did that made people turn up to the morning prayer is after the prayers, we used to go to the bakery and then sit together and have something to eat together. And this is what used to bring people. They used to actually turn up in their work clothes, they turn up and they pray and they would remember, we're going to the bakery. Maghrib, no one used to turn up. The thing is, what formed this habit in their head was when I pray, morning prayer, I'm eating at the bakery. So it became a routine for them. I come here to eat at the bakery. That's what you start doing. In order to make a habit likable or towards you, to enjoy this. Shahr Ramadan, when you're fasting, you're thinking about the fattoush at the time of iftar. You're thinking about what you're going to eat. It makes it enjoyable. You know the night's going to end with a bang. Everything's going to turn all right. You're thinking about that. And you get used to this routine. You're thinking about all this. A lot of people then when they fast, they think about what they're going to do at night. I'm not talking about the ones that are not interested in the matter altogether, but the people that actually do fast, they're thinking about what comes after and that sweetness of the reward. In order for me to develop something as a routine, I need to make it obvious. I need to make it easy. I need to make it attractive. I need to make it rewarding. This is how I can develop this habit. If I don't do this, then I won't take it as a habit. And at the same token, I need to make this bad habit that I wish to change the opposite. I need to make it look abhorrent. I need to actually look at what it's worth. One of my relatives, I remember, I asked him, he quit smoking almost 30 years ago, over 20 something years ago. And I asked him, what was the driving force behind you stopping cigarettes, smoking? He said, I stopped because I saw people around me were irritated. That was his driving force. In other words, when I sat with people, I could see they were disgusted by me. That was enough to make me not smoke anymore. So he saw the ugliness of the actual habit that he had, rather than start saying, oh yes, that first hit of nicotine is so great. You know, it's a euphoric feeling that I wait for at that point. This is the way that I end up seeing the habit to be abhorrent. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal to change our bad habits into good ones. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal to make us of the progressive people, the ones that each day after the other is better than the one before. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal to elevate our status in paradise. Because inshallah you're all Ahlul Jannah, you're mu'mineen. I'm not asking whether you go to paradise. Your elevation inshallah, because you are people that turn up to the majalis. And you've been reading Dua al-Iftitah, and you can see the mercy and the benevolence of Allah Azza wa Jal, the grace of Allah Azza wa Jal in this dua. So we ask Allah Azza wa Jal not to take us from this world until He is pleased with us. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد أعوذ بجلال وجهك الكريم أن ينقضي عني شهر رمضان أو يطلع الفجر من ليلتي هذه ولك قبلي تبعة أو ذنب تعذبني عليه برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. وإلى أرواح المؤمنين والمؤمنات وإلى أرواح موتانا وموتاكم ولشفاء المرضى بالأخص شفاء الحاج أبو علي الحائري ومرضى الموجودين. رحم الله من قرأ سورة المباركة الفاتحة مع الصلوات.